And we're back. Nearly 10 years after it was first proposed, the Vince Wibb Senior Community Maritime Park is bringing thousands of people out to enjoy baseball games and other community events. With one office building under construction there and another in the works, the park is getting busier every day. As the project nears its anniversary, local attorney Brian Hooper undertook a study of the lifespan of the project, and he is here with us now to tell us what he found out. Brian, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Brian,
I
nice to
appreciate
see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. So you have thoroughly researched the Maritime Park project. What do you overall, do we give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down as a successful community venture?
Absolutely, thumbs up.
Tell us why.
I think it is a very positive story for 3 reasons. First of all, it is a huge source of civic pride for us. We had a vacant lot that sat there for decades. It was an eyesore. You couldn't see the water. And now we have a beautiful stadium that many people in our community can feel very proud of. Second reason is the story of the park and how it came to be is one of persistence and overcoming disappointments and obstacles time after time. And it really demonstrates the visionary civic leadership that we have here in Pensacola going back decades. And the third thing is it has been a tremendous economic catalyst for downtown. I think if you look at the entire history of it, the reason downtown is succeeding like it is because of the Maritime Park.
And I think it's fair to say, too, that the Maritime Park would not be as successful as it is if that Main Street sewer plant were still in its location.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You needed both. It was interesting we were going through that because somebody would say, well, I'd support the park if the treatment plant was gone. And then, of course, when the treatment plant gone, they'd say, well, I'd support the park if it had affiliated baseball. So some people just weren't going to support it. And to be in totally open, we're funding the work that Brian is leading because we wanted to say, Rishi and I wanted to say, learn from this. We think there's some things that could have gone better. I personally do. I think the master development thing certainly didn't help. The legal fees that came with the master development, UWF pulling out didn't help. So there's certainly a lot of things that didn't work out the way we wanted it to, but I think you have to learn from those things because they happen. So we asked Brian, you just go in, look over the records, talk to as many people as you want, and give an objective viewpoint of a study. And this will be done, about when do you look at wrapping this up?
By the end of the year.
End of the year, and then we'll have it on?
Progress+Promise.com, of course. What, Brian, what were did you find a couple of key points that could have done better?
I think Quint hit on them just now. First of all was the selection of the master developer.
And to recap for folks, the park board had hired a consultant to evaluate the projects, and the person that they ultimately hired was not the person that their consultant recommended that they go with.
No, his response to the RFP and RFQ were complete fabrications.
And what were the other?
The other 2 problems, I would say, or disappointments, were, first of all, the withdrawal of UWF from its commitment to build classrooms and support the Maritime Museum at the park. This was due in part to economic factors.
Sure.
A lot of funding dried up at the state level. And also when John Kavanaugh left, the momentum at the university for having a downtown presence just wasn't as strong.
Yeah, and that just happens. I mean, that's a different strategy, and it's just the way it works. And I think UWF was going to run the amphitheater at the time, too, which might have been helpful.
And the last thing I would say is just the duration. I mean, when you look at it, I've talked to dozens of people who were instrumental, and I've reviewed thousands of documents. And what's astonishing is the amount of time that people spent over the course of years to get this done. Thousands of hours.
And volunteer, by the way.
It was all volunteer. No one got paid for it.
Talk about the vacant land there, because, that's been vacant now for over 3 years. And if they're going to ever get revenue out of the park, now you have our office building, which is going to pay $100,000 in lease fees, $300,000 a year in property tax, and $16 million in building investment when 250 people downtown. You got the Beck building, but there's still empty land. Has the city put any of that on the market yet?
Well, last year I chaired the URAC committee, and we spent hundreds of hours, but nothing in comparison to what was spent on the Maritime Park, looking at ways to improve downtown. And one of our key recommendations was the city needs to start marketing these vacant parcels.
Right.
Starting with the Maritime Park, because they're the ones that are
Most
shovel
visible.
ready.
Because even today, we found this out with the why, it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, I'm looking forward to your report. You got URAC coming back, and I know you're going to hear more about that. We'd like to have you in an upcoming show, if you don't mind.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you
bet.
for your community leadership.
Thank you for yours.
We'll have more in just a few minutes. Please stay with us.